Hi everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashable. So today I'm going to be playing with my background box. I'll explain what that is in just a second. We're going to make some Christmas cards today, so let's go ahead and get to it. Alright, so I'm pretty sure I've shown you guys this box before. This is what I like to call my backgrounds box. And basically in here is a bazillion, it feels like a bazillion, backgrounds that I've made that I start making and then I stop making, and I kind of haven't quite worked it out, or I get halfway through and think, no, I don't want to do that anymore. So I have a bunch here that I thought what I'd do is start working through these and making them into cards along the way. It's sort of a challenge as well to kind of see if I can do this. So, you know, come along with me and see if I can. But what I thought I'd start off with is let's make some Christmas cards, because I've got a bunch of Christmas things in here and why not? So I'm going to sort of go through here, and as I find them, I'm just going to put them into this pile. But you're kind of going to get a bit of a sneaky peek at some bits and pieces that I've been doing or been playing with. No. And the idea here is that when I start making these, I'm not allowed, when I make these cards, I'm not allowed to make a background. I have to go with what I've already got, and I can add things to it, I can cut it up, but I'm not allowed to add anything. I'm not allowed to make any more of a background, if that makes sense. I have a bunch of cloudy backgrounds here. I have like 6 cards that I had an idea for and I never got anywhere with them. Or I did, I just didn't get as far as I wanted. Now some of these I'm going to leave out. This one in particular I'm leaving out. I have an idea for a ugly and bright kind of card using lawn fawn. So I'm going to leave that one out because I don't think that one, not deserves to be there, that's not the right word, but I don't think that one needs to be there. I've also got some scrap bits in here that I'm going to bring out as well. As you can see, I really love my turnabouts. I just never actually get to using them. So here we go. This is going to be me doing as much as I can, and let's see what we can do. Alright, I think that's all the Christmassy ones. There's a couple of others in here, but most of these are out. So let's have a look at what I've got and decide what I want to use. I want to use this one. I'm going to limit myself to 5 because I feel like any more than 5 I'm going to start going a little over the top. I want to use that one. I want to use that one. That one. That's actually a scrap from a card I made last year. I'm going to use that. It's not really a background. I'm going to cheat with that one a little bit. No, actually. No, we'll do this one instead. We'll do that one. Okay. So I'll put all these ones back. As you can see, I still have a bunch. Okay, let's start with what I want to call the easiest 2. So this one is made out of scraps from some cardstock. That's all it is. So all I did was cut. I stuck them down on some cardstock and I cut it out with the largest of my stitch rectangles from Uniquely Creative. So easy, it's not funny, and you don't really even have to think. So what I've gone ahead and done is this is my I've Made You Up box. So there's already a bunch of sort of Christmassy things in here that I didn't get to use last year. And I don't want to use too many of these ones. I feel like I want to actually use some stamps to finish these off. I'm just grabbing what I do have that's Christmassy. So in here I've got like some stamped and dyed ones, or stamped and die cut things already. I've got some sentiments. I've got a bunch of these ones from baubles that I made last year. I really loved them, so I went over the top. Where is the thing I'm looking for? I'm sure I had another one. Maybe I didn't. I thought I had a Santa. but I don't. That's okay. All right, so that's sort of what I've already got. And then from there we can work out what we're going to add. So these ones I don't feel like fit. Oh, maybe on that one. Maybe it's the wrong green though. But I can fix that. I can add more. If my colours are wrong, I can fix the colours. I feel like this one's the one I want to play with the most. It's sort of where I'm heading. So this is using the Tim Holtz, oh, what's it called? Plaid dye. It's new. Hold on, I'll grab it. I need it for the background anyway. New to me, it's not new. But this is, yeah, the Tim Holtz dye. I do just want to change something. So when I did this using, must have been Festive Berries. I really want to add Lumberjack Plaid, but I really don't want to add Lumberjack Plaid. No, I'm not, because it'll change the colours and I don't want to. So I'm going to leave it at that one. I'm going to cut this. So there's, in the die set, you get 3 dies. So one sort of does that big plaid at the back. One does the really intricate one, and then one cuts out a rectangle that's just a little bit bigger. And that's what we're going to put our base on. So I'm going to use that. And I'm just debating if I want to cut this out of black, white, or craft. And I'm leaning towards craft, but I may change my mind. And if I change my mind, that's fine. So this is just a craft stack. I'm just going to cut this out using this. This is the only, no, there's 2 here that are going to be US size, so they'll be slightly different card bases I use, but that's okay. This is the one that I think I'll use some of these die cuts for. I just think that little, either the reindeer or the elf will look really cute in the middle. No, I don't like the craft. I like the reindeer. Okay, I'm going to do black, and that'll bring out the black that's already in here. So I'm not going to throw that away. No, too much. Since I could put the, this is foiled with black foil. Actually, you know what? That looks so cool. Let's just try it with black first and then decide. So I'm just grabbing a bit of that black. I'll just go ahead and cut this out. Now that I've seen it with the foil, I feel like I have to. So I'm just seeing what I can do here. So that'll sit in the middle, and then I need a sentiment. So what I've done is I've grabbed a couple of big ones. This one is Stampers Anonymous. This one's Gina K. I like that. Merry Christmas. That's a bit big. Okay, I like either. No, it needs to be bigger than that. Okay. So I'm going to grab this one here that's got the Merry Christmas. I'm just working out how I'm going to have that. So I'm going to put the foil in the background. And I think that on, just on white, like black cardstock with white heat embossing is going to be beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead really quickly and foil that and heat emboss this while I'm waiting. And I will be right back. Okay, this is actually my second attempt at this. The first one I tried to put on that square or the rectangle, and it worked out horribly. It wasn't straight and it was just bugging me. So I've gone back and done another one. This will be much, much, much better. And I'll just run this really quickly through with that square or rectangle. I keep calling it a square. Only thing I'm sad about is that this one doesn't come with stitching. But if I really wanted to, I could get out my Lawn Fawn stitched rectangles. But I don't want it. This video is going to be long enough without me jumping in and out of my stash all the time. I'm trying to stay still. It won't work, but I am trying. Okay. So the other thing I did while that was going through, or while I was redoing it, was I did the white on the black cardstock for the sentiment, but I also did clear because I want to see what the clear looks like with the sentiment. So we'll just have a look in a second at both. Okay, so we've got our background. Oh, I love that. It looks really cool sort of behind the lines because they actually almost line up. You can do it either way because they do look slightly different. I like that one better. Okay, and then we're going to put Mr. Reindeer. And then I've got my two Merry Christmases. So I'm just making sure that they are cut out straight. So I like to use my trimmer as a bit of a guide to make sure it's as even and as straight as I can get it. There isn't a die that matches this one, so I can't use that. I'm just going to do both while I'm here. So all I do is I just line it up so it's sort of got the clear protector is just on the edge, and that way I can keep an even border the whole way around. The last one's always the hardest. Okay. Moment of truth. Is it the black? Oh, that's very cool. Or is it the... No, it's the white. It is the white. The black does look really cool though, and I certainly won't do anything with that. I'll keep it because it'll be awesome. Okay. Glue time and foam tape time. So this is just my standard glue. There is, sorry, it's my Tombow Mono liquid glue in a Couture Creations fine tip applicator. I'm not being horribly making sure every little detail of this is stuck because you just can't. It's driving me nuts. It's too intricate to do that. So I'm just putting glue everywhere that makes sense, so around all the big stuff. The other thing I'm just really quickly going to do is hold this up to you guys in the camera, but up above my head. I can just see some little dog hairs and bits sticking out of it, so I'm just trying to make sure that I get those if I can. And then I'm going to stick this down with that little trim around the outside. Just trying to make it as even as possible. Oh, I love that. Now that is in the background. I'm pretty sure that's, I think it's Mowed Lawn, Rustic Wilderness, and then Festive Berries, and a little bit of Barn Door around the bottom, and then it's just white in the middle. I did that on purpose. Okay, and then these are from Hero Arts. These were part of one of last year's my monthly hero kits at the end of the year. Don't know why I do that. Foam tape for sentiments, foam squares for critters and stuff. Always forget. So I have started using more stacked die cuts recently as opposed to foam. Either or is fine. It's just whatever you prefer. I do think I like the stacked better, but with stuff like this one where I really can't stack, well, I could stack it, but where I'm too lazy to stack it. Foam does work really well. And then these guys, I'm just going to draw the critter here. I'm just going to try and get an even coverage of foam. The hardest part's going to be his antlers, because obviously they're very thin. So now I've got all that off. I can, whoa, nearly dropped him. I can see a little bit of that foam, but I'm hoping when let's see if I can cut it a bit more. There we go. Okay. So I can put my reindeer just sitting there in the middle. Just trying to make him as even as I can. And we'll get rid of all this and put that down as well. I'm going to add a couple of embellishments to this. So first thing we do is add glossy accents to his eyes and his nose. Also just going to lift his ears up a little bit. They do cut away. So if I just lift them up a little bit, it just gives them a little bit of dimension. It's a really bad bottle of Gloria. The bottle is fine. I've done a very bad job of cutting the hole on it. It either gives me too much or not enough. Okay. And then just think a couple of black baubles, because we've got so much black on here already. He's going to look really cool. Now obviously he at the moment looks like he's a dead reindeer, so we don't like that. But these are iridescent black baubles. I think these are from Trinity. Yes, they are. So I'm just going to pop a couple, trying to work in my odds. Alright, well there's card number 1. Obviously still got to put it on a base, but the card is finished. We're going to be here forever at this rate. Obviously when I'm finished in the end, I'll show you what they all look like, because that one needs to dry so he doesn't look like he's got ghost eyes. Alright, number 2. I think I can go a bit faster. Number 2, I have a little bit more of an idea of. This one I do want to do craft cardstock. I know that. And I want the whole base to be a craft. But I want the stitching. So I'm cutting the largest of my Uniquely Creative stitched rectangles out of this one. Now this is roughly the same size as the card base, as the cardstock, sorry. So I've just got to make sure I line it up as well as I can. And this one I've taken a bit of inspiration from Mindy Egan. So I've watched lots and lots of card makers on YouTube. It's my favourite, well, not my favourite thing to do, but pretty close. And she did a direct to paper kind of thing with some distress inks. And I thought I would try something similar. So first off, I'm just grabbing my sanding tool just to go around the edge of this and just knock off any bits that are sticking up. There we go. I'm just grabbing Vintage Photo, and I'm just gonna, you're only gonna see a little bit of this, so I feel like I can just try it and see what happens. But I am going for that distress look. Now she used black on some green cardstock, and obviously I'm using brown on some craft, but the gist is the same. The gist is the same. And then when I put this down on here, yes, it gives it that vintage grungy kind of look that I wanted. Yes. Oh, hooray. All right, I'm going to let that dry for a sec. While I'm doing that, and we're using Tim Holtz anyway, so I'm going to grab that Tim Holtz set. Oh, whoops, I've broken it. That's all right. I think I love the size of these. That's the first thing. And I can just use the sentiment and that's it. I'm just deciding if I want to stamp directly onto this, or if I want to do this on a background. I'm going to try two things. This is another one where I don't have any die, so I'm going to have to cut this one out by hand, which is fine. So I'm grabbing, I have way too much mess now. I swear this was clean when I started. Just take our mats and stuff out here. So I'm going to do this twice. I'm going to do it once on messy white cardstock, which thankfully I'm using the back so you'll never see it. I'm going to do this once on craft and once on white, but I'm going to use two different sort of backgrounds or colour ways. First one's going to be white cardstock, which I think is not going to work, but this is white, so maybe it will. White cardstock with lumberjack plaid embossing powder, or embossing glaze, sorry. That's actually what's the red on this card anyway, so it'll all kind of fit in. And the other one I'm going to do brown vintage photo on, actually I'm going to do it, no, I will do brown vintage photo on craft, but I'm going to use clear embossing powder on top of that. That is beautiful, but it's a little bit too sort of distressed for me. I need this to be a bit more solid. So what I'm going to do is just re-stamp it and redo it. Bonus of having it in the MISTI is you can just go straight over the top. And if you've never done a double kind of embossing glaze or heat emboss, you can absolutely do it. So I'm just going to show you that. This time I get slightly better. I still miss the exact same two spots. Rather than freaking out, I'm going to grab my embossing pen. No, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to do another one though, because I have messed it up. Alright, just so you can see the difference. That's double and that's single, and the single looks much nicer. But you can stack them. If you don't get a nice coverage, if you don't get what you want, you can absolutely double emboss over the top. I'd usually find I get slightly, bad example with the red rubber, but I do find I usually get slightly more smooth results with the double. Alright, so I have my gorgeous background there. I love that. I love the way it feels too. It feels really rustic. And it does. It looks like a piece of wood, which is kind of the point. Where's my lid? Before I lose this and make a mess. Okay. So, just so in case anyone's going to ask, this background was done using a Kaisercraft stencil. Yes, Kaisercraft. With Rustic Wilderness and lumberjack plaid with the two colours, and I just masked it off. It's a piece of white cardstock that I've then just gone around the edge with a little bit of bundled sage to get that slightly green, and then a little bit of Vintage Photo Distress Oxide, and then splattered with Vintage Photo Distress ink, no, Gathered Twiz Distress ink, re-ink it, and the same thing with the lumberjack plaid. Yes, it's a bit mad. It's a bit mad. Okay, so I'm going to do that same sort of edge around the top and the bottom, I think. But I think then I'm going to kind of come in and fussy cut this a little bit, because nothing else on here is going to be, when I say perfectly straight, everything else is sort of that vintagey look. So I don't want the sentiment to be the only outlier, but I also don't want to make it, no, it needs to be, actually, I'm having another idea. I'm just going to do this first, just see what I get. I probably just should have done this on craft, but anyway. So this is my Distress Ink blending tool or blending brush. It's got just whatever was the last thing I used on here. I'm just trying to take away some of the white. No ink, no more ink added on that whatsoever. And the good thing is that because that's just, because that is embossed, it'll resist the ink, so it just wipes straight off. That's good. I was gonna do it on vellum, but no, I'm gonna leave it on that. So I'm going to use the cardstock trick for this one, and I just line it up, like just stack it up, just messy bits that I've got left over. I'm not being particularly worrisome or careful that they're not all the complete right size or the right width. As long as I've got the height there, it's all that I really want. So I'm going to go 3 high. I'm just trying to use up as many scraps here as I can. And I'm just making sure that when I put that down it still feels right, which it does. This is my big pouch of white cardstock, and I just basically keep it there, and every time I need something that's small or easy to do, just grab that out. About to say, you could of course use liquid glue so that you don't use so much tape, and then I ran out of tape. The irony is not lost. This is where I should be using all my other glue tapes that I don't like so much, just to use them up for these bits that are slightly less seeable. Seeable, is that a word? So once I've got that done, I'm just putting tape on the back. And we'll just pop that in the middle. Now it's still got a bit of that bend, or the not quite right of the cardstock, but it would get that anyway. Actually, as I said, before I stick it down properly, but I think it's already down. No, I'm not going to do it. I was just going to add a little bit of more darkness to the outside, but I'm not. And then this one's just going to get a couple of, I think I'll do pearls, like pearls. These are from Tim Holtz, some of his Christmas ones. I don't want to go too over the top with this because I really like the background. No, not red. Yes, definitely pearl. Why is it the ones I want are always the ones that go upside down and won't come back? Okay, there's card number 2. I like that background. Alright. 3. I feel like these ones I just want to do something. I like that tree on there. I just don't like that colour. So, I'm going to try. I'm going to do the tree again. I'm just going to do it with some Rustic Wilderness Distress Oxide. Just reaching behind me to get the cardstock. Now, Distress Oxide will work because it stays wetter longer, and therefore I can use clear embossing ink over the top of it. So that's how that one works. And the other cool thing is this does come with a matching die, so I can cut this out a couple of times from some scrap white cardstock and stack it up that way. Okay, I was just about to use Versamark and that's not what I want. So I'm going to do this a couple of times because number 1, I need it to be wet. But number 2, I need it to be absolutely full coverage so that it's perfectly embossed. And the cool thing is with oxide that the more you stamp it, the smoother it gets. So if you start off and it's not that smooth, just keep going. One more should do it. And see how that's still wet? I know, I hope you can see that's still wet. So we'll cover the whole thing in clear. I feel like I'm doing a lot of embossing tonight. That wasn't the plan. Watch this, it's my favourite thing. It's not perfectly smooth, but it's good. Alright, I'm going to cut, just out of some white cardstock, like I said, I'm going to cut 3 of the just plain white trees, and then I'm going to stack them up on top of that one, which I'll cut out. So I'll just go ahead and do that quickly, and I'll be right back. So I used 4 that time because the cardstock that I'm using is not as lovely as my paper stock. It's all crappy stuff, which means it's not as thick, it's not as nice, it's not as smooth. And that's okay, because it doesn't need to be. It's just stacking up behind everything. So I'm just going to use some liquid glue to stick all these together, and then we'll attach it to the card. Alright, that's a much better colour match. Really like that. Something so simple. You don't need to be crazy, over the top, all mad kind of decorations for a Christmas card. You can seriously just do some scrap bits of paper and one hero kind of image on the front. What I am going to do though, just put that down just a little bit. Go. I got a bit stuck up there, that's alright. I'm going to use matte baubles. I swear I had it. Where did it go? There it is. Because the foil on this card, there is foil on that scrap paper and it is like a champagne gold, so this will work. But I'm just considering while I'm here if I want to do like a star, and I'm going to put some of these baubles on the tree just to kind of add some extra fun. I didn't think this one would be anywhere near my favourite, but it might just be. I'm trying to use the big ones more often because I don't naturally want to use the big ones. I naturally want to use all the little ones. But what that means is I'm going to end up with a bunch of big ones in the end. And that's not good. Actually, I don't want to use the ones on the outside. I don't think that looks good. to put a star at the top. This is my big pile of paper. No, two not gold. That all sort of matches what I've been doing. And this is the same gold as is in this paper pack, if I can get it out. I think that might be my only matte cardstock. So if that's the case, I might just have to go with it. No, wrong gold. So there's a little teeny tiny star in this die set. So I'm just going to trim off just a little and just run this through. This is one of those ones that the sidekick would probably be better, but I can't be bothered getting it out. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of that foam tape that I used before, rather than cutting out 3 more stars. I think I can get away with doing it this way. It'll also mean that I can perch it on that tree a little bit better. Just trying to hide the foam, and I'm doing a really bad job. Just a little tip, if you're ever trying to get a star, put your foam tape at like an angle. It's hard to see here, but put it at a bit of an angle, and that way it'll sit on like the popped up bit. I wish all the golds match. They don't, so I'm just going to cop it. Alright, I have 2 to go. I'm hoping when Ryan edits this down, it's nowhere near as long and complicated as it feels in my head right now. Let's do something really simple for this one. These ones do have coordinating, so let's try. Just want to see how that sits on the card. Not quite big enough for the fa la 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 la, because if it sits in the middle, it's just not big enough. So let's try that love and joy. I actually think this isn't going to be big enough either, which is ridiculous when you think about how big these sets are. All right. I really love this background. This is just some paper that I made up using some distress oxide. In fact, this is the reason I'm starting to think, no, I'm going to stop. I'm going to only do 3. And it's because, number 1, this has all taken me a little bit longer than I thought it would. And number 2, I'm actually starting to lose my thinking. And when I start losing my thinking, that means my crafting needs to stop. So what I'm going to do really quickly before I finish up is I'm just going to put these all onto some card bases, and that way they are complete, and then I can come back and show you. Alrighty. So this one's not quite finished. I still have to just cut off a little bit on the edge. It's just a little bit too big, but I don't want to put it in my trimmer until the glossy accents is dry, and it's just not quite yet. So I'm going to leave that alone. I really love that, and I don't know if you guys can see the foil. You'll certainly be able to when I do zooms, but it just adds a little something that I don't think would be there otherwise. And it's a bit like the glossy accents. It just catches your eye as it moves. It just makes it extra special. I put that on a black card base. It just didn't look right on white. It looked silly. This one did go on a white card base. Looks great. Love the direct to paper. Thank you, Mindy Egan. And then this one, I don't think it's my favourite of the bunch, but I actually really love that. I think that turned out really nicely, which, considering that was probably the background that I was the most worried about, I'm really happy. I think that's worked out beautifully. So there we go. 3 cards using my background box. That did probably take me a little bit too long. I will get better at these. And what I'll do is, maybe we'll stick to 3. 5 might have been a bit ambitious. 3 cards every month or so. I'll just go through my background box and pull stuff out. I just make backgrounds sometimes when I'm bored, when I want to craft, but I don't have a particular project in mind. Maybe I want to play with a new toy. Maybe I want to play with a new ink. I've recently bought some alcohol ink paper, and I want to play with that. If I've got some new washi tape I want to play with, if I've got some scraps of cardstock and I just want to sit here and just make a background, that's where I come up with some of these. So don't think I just sort of sit here and randomly make backgrounds and stick them in the box on purpose so that I can plan these. This is just me playing. It's just me. I really want to do this. I do the same thing with die cuts. Like, that's how I ended up with so many of these reindeer, because I just enjoyed making them so much I kept making them. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and let me know if you did enjoy it. Leave me a comment if you'd like to see more of these kind of use up my backgrounds, boxes, kind of videos. If no one likes them, I won't do them. Hope you guys have an absolutely awesome rest of your day and a great week, and I will catch you again in my next video. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!